Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Maya. I'm really excited for today because we are doing a spring TBR, and you guys know I like my TBRs in general, love that for myself. I do have quite a lot of books I would like to read. Don't know if I will. Some of these have been on my shelf for a while, but they're just kind of giving off spring vibes. To me, spring vibes are kind of like whimsical, light, like Korean, Japanese retellings, because normally they're kind of like calming. I will obviously always read romantic and fantasy books all the way through the year, but the ones that are less fighting, the ones that are more calming, ones that are more gentler to read is kind of like what I would envision for spring. And I have struggled with these. I do have a couple of new releases that I just need to get to. That being said though, I do have 11 books to go through with you guys. Sorcery and Small Magics, this just gives off spring. Like, just the cover itself gives off spring. It is a special edition and it is beautiful. You know, it just gives off spring vibes, especially on the inside here, because it does have butterflies. You know, like on the back it says, "Will you look for me? Each glimpse a beckon calling from within. Listen for me until the ringing of my voice becomes your only song. Hold my name in your bones until every wish needs not be spoken." It just seems very pretty, and I've had this for a while, but I do want to read it this season because other than summer, I don't think I can be able to read it other than that. The next one is everywhere currently. It's all over social media and I'm very happy I got the special edition of it. But is it a Rose Bargain? No, the Rose Bargain. And I'm not obsessed with the cover. I think it's very simple. Don't get me wrong, it's very pretty. I love it. But I prefer the hardback so much more. And I'm just going to take it out because you need to see this. But let me just read the whole picture, which I've only just realised you could do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, this book right here, it just gives off spring and I'm very excited for it. It's just a beautiful edition. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like the actual dust cover doesn't do the actual book justice, but the dust cover does suit this part. On the back there is a quote that says, "When one makes a fairy bargain, one must be prepared to pay the price." And I mean, fae stuff isn't really just spring. To me, fae is all year round. But I think if you do want to read stuff about fae, it's probably going to be best reading it in springtime or like autumn, fall time, just because they give those vibes. But I'm extremely excited about this because everybody's raving about this book so much and it's just so beautiful, and I'm very excited to read it just so I can be one of those people and be like, I read that, I loved that, I liked this and this, you know, I like that. This one kind of gives off the same vibes just because of the cover is just kind of very similar to each other. I bet you're looking at it being like, Maya, it's completely different. I get you. I have put this on a TBR beforehand. I just never got around to it because I wasn't feeling it, just because it kind of gives really easy flow reads, and at the time I just wanted angst, rebellion, anger, drama, and I think this is just kind of calming just because it's got tea and a cat, you know. And again, this is a special edition. Most of these books are special editions and it's a very, very pretty book. Very pretty. Okay, so I will give you a little brief of it. So it says, fleeing a troubled past, immigrant fortune teller Tao, I think it's Tao, roams the dusty countryside with her only mule for company, telling small fortunes for small prices. Big fortunes come with big consequences, which she knows from bitter experience. Soon they're joined by a baker with a need, do you know, like, need? Funny play words. For adventure, and of course a slightly magical cat. And I just think it'd be such a beautiful read. On the back it says, small fortune, big feelings. Kind of feel that I'm gonna love this book so much. This next one is just purely a new release. It is a very highly anticipated read for me this year. It's on my 25 for 2025 because I'm obsessed with her. I like how she rips out your soul and then feeds it to you while you're conscious. It's just one of those where it's just in need. Yes, I'll be reading The Conscious of Will. This is by Jessa Hastings, who did the Magnolia Park series. She also did the book Never, which I cannot recommend that book enough to anybody who will listen. Yes, I'm very excited about this book. It's not a special edition, but it's stunning. I really want to annotate these. So with my Magnolia Park shelf, so all these here I've annotated. These ones are all special editions, so obviously I'm not going to touch them. And this one's a standard one, because with her writing, you need to annotate them because you go through the feelings, and it is immensely nice going through this book again and going through the feelings. Every now and then I do it with my Magnolia Parks book, and I'm kind of sat there and I get teary-eyed and I'll go through the feelings again. This is just trauma, and I'm here for it. This book I'll actually be reading the same time I read this one, because I am doing like an upsetting vlog coming soon. I'm very excited for it. But I will be reading At Infinite Fate. This again is everywhere, and it's basically about, in every timeline, these two people find each other and they kill each other. I think he always kills her before her 18th birthday. And I think in every single story plot they fall in love and then death occurs, but then they always find each other in the next life. That's all I know, because I don't want to go into it knowing more about this book, but it's just beautiful. This is just the Waterston's edition, and my heart is here for it. On the back it says, maybe that's all love is in the end, an endless tempting of fate. I just know that I've seen people read this and they are crying their eyes out. It's so heartfeltly beautiful that it's just quite realistic in the love side of it all. Like, it's not really far-fetched. And yeah, I'm excited to read this one, and I want to get on the hype wagon while it's still here, because I want to talk to people about this book. So that's the plan. I'm very excited. The last of my hardbacks is a TJ Klune book, and I've only read one of his books and it was beautiful. So he only writes, I think he only writes book about gay men, and it's just so heartwarmingly beautiful. It's so nice. So this is The Bones Beneath My Skin, and I think this is the Waterstones edition. Yeah. I need to read this right now. That sounds intense. That sounds really intense. There's a girl who calls herself Darth Vader. Not a clue, but they go through it. The main people go through it, and I'm here for it. I read In the Lives of Puppets, and I will, again, always read for this book. I have multiple editions of this just because it's just kind of stunning, and and I'm hoping this book will also do the same feelings for me. And my aim is to read all of his books, and I'm gonna get there at some point. I just want all of them to be special editions, because this one I actually couldn't decide if I wanted to read this at spring or like fall time, but it's the Rainfall Market, and is it a Japanese, Korean? It's a Korean retelling, and I'm very excited about this book. So basically it's a little girl and her cat, obviously cats everywhere, goes into the Rainfall Market, and I think the gist is she helps out there, and if her dream doesn't come true or something along those lines, she cannot leave this market. She is just there for the rest of her life. And I think it goes through the feelings of her trying to do that, having like the angst behind her to want to finish this job to get to completion, so she isn't like stuck in the market. And it's only a tiny book, and I love novellas because I always think to myself, how are they going to explain the story plot, go through all the feelings, come to a completion before like the 150 pages are done. I don't actually think this has 150 pages. Oh, it actually does. It has 193 pages, so still quite easy read, but I also think this is very pretty, On the back it says, this is your ticket to the Rainfall Market and the chance of a lifetime to swap your life for another. Again, still not 100% if it's given spring or like autumn, because both season rains, and I don't know which one. I am thinking to more spring just because it has loads of flowers around her, so it could just be like the spring rainfall that we always get. Yeah, I'm actually quite excited for that. I think it'd be a really nice, easy, steady, beautiful read. Hoping like the rest of them are, just to get in the vibes. This one to me is 100% spring. The Wind in the Willows. This I do believe is a children's book. Like, I'm not even kidding. On the back, it's an Oxford University Press book, and I read somewhere that I think it is, yes, Oxford's children classic. So it is a child's book, but it's about the lives of a toad, a hamster, a mole rat. That's what he is a mole rat, and it just goes into depth of all that sort of stuff. On the back it says, join in the delights and disasters on the riverbank with the mole and his new friends Ratty, Badger and a fun-loving toad. There's never a dull moment. This kind of gives, not really like Studio Ghibli, but it gives Arietta vibes, because obviously they're all kind of minuscule and Arietta is tiny. And I really like that movie, so I'm hoping this kind of gives the same vibes as that. It's really big text, and it's also an insanely floppy book. And yeah, I'm really excited about this. This is the same as something else, and I cannot remember the name of it. I will put it up here. I think people say this is the British version of it, and then this other thing is the like American version of it. Obviously I'm British, I want to read this one first, but people do rave about the other one, so again I'm excited to look into that. I've tried reading this once before over like the winter season, and I thought to myself, why am I reading this? This is not giving off the correct vibes, and I wasn't like wanting to sit down and read it because, well, it's not spring outside, you know? So I'm hoping this can give the same vibes from it. First Time Caller is everywhere currently, and I am being lucky enough to find this beautiful, lovely edition, and I'm very excited for it. I went to 4 different shops to find this book. And I'm not even kidding, I wanted this book and I found it, and when I found it I was so happy. Yeah, so this is basically about, this guy has a caller. I don't know if it's a podcast, if it's on radio, I'm unsure. But this lady's daughter calls up and basically asks for like romance advice for her mother, because her mother's been single for ages. And I think that like sparks, it must spark a relationship within them two, but that's all I know about it. That is all I know. Usually I don't read books with children involved because I'm not a mum myself and I can't really relate to that. But I do have younger siblings, like they are quite young, and I think they'd probably be the same age as her daughter, so I think it's more relatable in that aspect. But again, because this is everywhere and I kind of want to get on the bandwagon, I want to read this because again, I'm into my romances, not insanely, but I have started to read them again, and while I'm in this hype, I want to take that to my advantage and read as many as possible, because my like romance up there, it's growing and it's not going down with read because I just haven't read it. I'm collecting them, but they're not reading them, so yeah, I want to read this one. I then have this one. So this one I bought the same time I bought this book, Story of My Life by Lucy Score, in the middle of a Lucy Score book, and I think it's Things We Never Got Over or something. It's been on my TBR shelf for years and I just haven't read it. I heard a lot of mixed feelings about her writing, just because it's quite young and it repeats itself, and there's a lot of like issues with the story plot itself, but I'm half through this book and I'm really enjoying it. Yes, there is flaws there, but it's just quite a fun read to go through. Nothing's really, we have to sit down and think about it, there's nothing really twisted, it's just an easy read. Obviously there's romance in there and I'm kind of vibing with it, but this one, I will always be the girl to read books that talk about books within them, and this has got a bike with loads of book pages flying around it, and the special edition sprayed edges are with obviously loads of books piled up, so obviously this is, my attention was drawn to it. Book about books. I'm here for you, like I want you to come home with me, you know? Not a clue what this is about, I just not a clue. Okay, so I've had a quick read through the synopsis, and basically saying she has been given a warning from a publisher that she needs to like finish the book, hand it in at this point. She doesn't, and she makes a rash decision to leave the city all behind, like go move out, and then she bumps into a guy, and that's how the romance starts. Yeah, it's, you know, I want to read it. I want to read it. Again, because I'm into romance, I want to get into the romance while I'm currently in romance and get as many books ticked off. Like my, not highly anticipated, but of all the books, this one and the other one is shining to me the most to get through. And I'm excited to read it because, you know, it could be a 5-star read. Who knows? This book I have actually read, as you can see, but the next book in the series comes out and it is Fearless. I have pre-ordered it, it should come soon. and I'll be reading that one. Again, it's not really giving spring vibes, but because it's brand new and I want to read it, yeah, it's gonna hit my to be read this spring, because I do not want to be one of those people, because Fearless is going to be the last in this series, and I do not want to be one of those people that gets spoiled. Like, yeah, spoilers are kind of shockingly shit, because if you're mid through a series and you find out something, yeah, it ruins it. But this is the last of a series. This takes everything and closed off, and then you say goodbye to it, and I don't want that experience to be ruined. So I need to make sure, because of how highly anticipated this series is on everybody's like minds, I want to read this quite soon. So this is not the book I'm reading Fearless, but I'm very excited about it. There is actually 2 more books I want to talk about, because the new releases, it just kind of like sparked my memory a bit. There is 2 more books. One is Voice of the Ocean. So she is a Sims YouTuber, and I love Sims. I will always play Sims, and I love watching her, and she released a book, and as you can see, it's insanely beautiful. It's about sirens. That is all I know. She's kind of like quite important. I don't know if she's like the king's daughter or something, and that's I just saw her that she was advertising this book, and I thought, oh, you're going straight in my basket, and it did. And I don't know what it's about, but I'll give you a little debrief here if you want to screenshot it to have a look, you know. And then the last book I'm going to talk about is the Wild and Wrangled book, and I have read every single one of those cover books, obsessed to say the least, and the covers are really stunning. And this one comes out later in the month, I think it's mid-month, and it's on Kindle Limited, which is really good, because that's why I've been reading these books. So technically, girl mathing, it's free, you know, it's a free book. So I'm really excited to read that one. It was really nice to just finish this series as a whole, because I don't think there's going to be any more books in this series, so it'd be quite nice to get the point of view from every single like sibling and friend, and I'm here for it. So, you know, yeah. As you guys know, I have a lot of books I need to read, and it's not going down, but I think if I do this sort of stuff each season, it might encourage me to like remember certain books I want to read and be like, oh yeah, I wanted to read this in spring. Spring's gonna finish soon. Let's go on to this one, because when I look at my shelves now, I'm overpowered with which one to read, and it's just an ongoing question in my mind, because I just want to read every single one of them, you know. So that's where I currently am. But you guys, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I will be doing this each season, so the next one of these will probably summertime. Excited for summer, and then it'll be autumn, and then it'll be winter. Let's see how many of these we can go through. I'll see you next week's video. Bye guys.